Thank you very much. I want to thank Mr. Paritz for taking some time and giving us a tour of his store to show us the kind of damage that he sustained from the bombing last Saturday night. As you know, we have been working very hard post-bombing to apprehend the people who were responsible, but also to make sure anyone who was hurt directly or indirectly from the explosion, property damage, etc., is compensated and gets up and running as quickly as possible. The bomb did do damage to store owners, did do damage to residences, and the state is going to take two actions. First, the Department of Financial Services, which is an agency of the state called DFS, which operates this very attractive mobile unit, will help businesses and homeowners who are making insurance claims and can help expedite any insurance claims that a company or a homeowner is making. The Department of Financial Services regulates the insurance industry, so they're very familiar with the process, etc. And in a situation like this, we would hope that the insurance companies would be cooperative and would expedite any reimbursement that is due the business or the owner. Number two, if there is a loss that was suffered by a business owner or a residence which is not covered by insurance, the state will reimburse the homeowner or the business owner. I spoke to Speaker Heastie, who is in charge of the New York State Assembly, and Speaker Flanagan, who's in charge of the State Senate, and they agreed to authorize state appropriation to reimburse people who were hurt financially and who are not covered by insurance. So I want to thank the Speaker and the Senate leader for their cooperation. People talk about government normally operates slowly. Here it's operated very expeditiously. This is a highly unusual circumstance, and it was an emergency, so I thank them for their cooperation. So we'll expedite the insurance coverage. If the loss is not covered by insurance, the state will compensate the owner of the residence or the business. Again, this is for damage that was incurred because of the bombing on Saturday night. Last point before I introduce my colleagues, I was upstate this morning, and it was amazing how many people from upstate New York had the same observation, how proud they were of the way the people in New York City handled the bombing, how proud they were of the first responders, how proud they were of the resilience of New Yorkers who got right back to work on Monday, right back to business as usual, and didn't allow the bombing to affect them, because that's what terrorism is all about, right? It's trying to disrupt our lifestyle, and that didn't happen. So again, we want to thank all the first responders who did such a great job, federal, state, and local, and most importantly, the people of the city of New York who came together, helped one another, and moved forward. I want to thank, again, Mr. Daniel Paritz for showing us the gallery. Thank Councilperson Corey Johnson for being here. Now I'm going to ask my two state colleagues, Senator Brad Hoylman and Assemblyman Dick Gottfried, to say a few words. Again, the state appropriation is being done on an expedited basis because of the emergency, and I want to thank the legislature very much for this unusual but necessary action. Let's start with Senator Hoylman.
Thank you very much, Governor Cuomo. State Senator Brad Hoylman. I represent the neighborhood. Thank you, Mr. Paritz, and thank you, Governor, and my colleagues in government, both Councilmember Johnson and Assemblymember Gottfried and Borough President Gail Brewer. You know, the bomber certainly picked on the wrong state, he picked on the wrong city, and he picked on the wrong neighborhood. You can see here today that the state is providing an important backstop for local businesses that have been damaged. But more important than that, the show of support by the state of New York has been extraordinary. And I'm just so grateful to Governor Cuomo, his team, for all the first responders, for our city officials, for really making certain that Chelsea residents and businesses get back on their feet. So thank you so much.
I'm Assemblyman Richard Gottfried, and like Senator Hoylman, I represent Chelsea and this block, along with Councilmember Corey Johnson. You know, small businesses are, I mean, it's a cliche that they're the backbone of the economy. They are the backbone of the community. Not only do the business owners and their employees depend on the business, but the people in the community depend on it. And the fact that we are moving so quickly is just enormously important. It is really striking how quickly the state, the city have moved. You know, the first responders that count the most are the ones who run towards danger in uniform. But we tend to forget that also part of first response is the people who work in offices to try to make the money flow, try to make insurance companies do what they ought to do, and try to make sure that everybody can get back on their feet. That's what we're all about here today.
Councilmember Corey Johnson, I just want to thank the governor. He was here on Sunday with Mayor de Blasio, walking the block, talking to small business owners, talking to residents, 1,000 mobilized state troopers and National Guards men and women who came into the city and this neighborhood to help in the aftermath. His staff has been in constant contact with all of our offices. And so I just want to thank the state of New York for really stepping up for this neighborhood of Chelsea, which has experienced a lot of trauma over the last few days and are still trying to get back on our feet. And the governor reassuring New Yorkers, giving us real-time updates, has been enormously helpful for us elected officials and for the folks that were affected. We're very lucky that in the state of New York, the Department of Financial Services is strong and can regulate insurance companies swiftly. And so I'm glad that they have intervened and are going to be helping the businesses that were affected. Thank you.
First, I want to thank you. The government come to help us, the community. But I want to say something very shortly. When it happened, I was in Israel. I'm a 30 years citizen in America. We came here because my wife got cocktail Molotov in her car. We came here, and I want to tell you guys, don't let the terrorists scare us. If they are scare us, where are we going to go? I am here because what's happening in Israel. Now where are we going to go? Back to Israel? Everywhere it's the same thing. So don't let the terrorists scare nobody, especially New Yorker. It's a great city, and I still want to say again, thank you to everybody, to support and everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, it's this year's budget. We have an emergency fund that was established originally at the beginning of the year. It was about $200 million. We don't have an estimate on what this cost is. Again, most of the loss will be covered by insurance, private insurance. And on that, we'll expedite the insurance process, which can take a long period of time. We also did this in Hurricane Sandy, Storm Irene, etc. So most of it will be covered by private insurance. If it's not covered by private insurance and it was due to the bombing, then the state will pay. It will come from the emergency fund. I don't know. I don't have an estimate, Zach. But whatever it is, the state will pay, and I'm sure we have the funds available. And again, I want to thank the Speaker and the Senate leader for moving as quickly as they did. We did it literally on a phone call, which, as you know, is unusual for state action.
Governor, the federal complaint released last night said there actually were 31 people who suffered injury from the explosion, and it detailed some of the injuries, and they were a little more so. For people who have out-of-pocket expenses relating to treatment for their injuries, or perhaps missed work and might not be compensated for that through work, are they eligible for this reimbursement as well?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think in fairness, yes. If an individual that suffered a loss like that and was uninsured, the state would cover that expense.
And who will oversee that application process?
The Department of Financial Services does the insurance coverage, and they are the first agency that does the review.
And there will be something on the DFS website for people who want to go through this process?
Yes. This mobile office is operational, and they can just come by.
Be here for a few days?
Yes.
Another topic of my news is very troubling information out about homeowners and Anthony Weiner. If you've seen that, what your reaction is?
I've read the reports, and let me say this: if the reports are true, it's possibly criminal, and it is sick. And frankly, I've heard enough about Anthony Weiner, and I think that goes for all New Yorkers.
A lot of people are trying to get back to their normal routines, including the mayor, who reportedly took a trip to the gym before coming out to visit some victims who were affected by the damage. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about that.
No. Okay.
One last question. Do we have any sense of the amount of some of the damage? Ballpark?
You have, dollar-wise, no. You had a lot of glass broken, you had doors kicked in, you had property damage, but we don't have a dollar estimate. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you for letting us do.
Listen, we're going.
Thank you.